Today, 31st December 2022, practically 2023. My deliberations are not as of a hedge fund manager, a proprietary fund, no third party investment. Today, my deliberation is hybrid. Now, hybrid means a LLB student alongside a hedge fund manager is talking to you. Most of you who knew me personally, they are aware that I spent almost 10 years as a corporate treasurer of American companies. As a corporate treasurer, I handled the front and middle office desk. In front office, I took almost all kind of derivative instrument, including non-deliverable derivative contracts. That too in Singapore and New York. And one of the banks in which I dealt heavily on behalf of my ex-employers is JP Morgan Chase. I still remember how we inducted JP Morgan Chase somewhere in 2013 with my ex-employer. You know that I love research and I focus majority of my time on research. Every day I spend almost 1.5 to 2 hours, in some days more than 3 hours on Google and try and scrutinize the various articles, printouts, different study notes, research reports from the Google. I strongly believe that Google is one of our best friends, provided we know how to use this best friend. And one of the things on which I regularly do research is the banking frauds. And when I speak about banking frauds, I cannot start until I mention 3 names right before you. Number 1 is JP Morgan Chase. Number 2 is Credit Suisse. And number 3 is the Citigroup. To be honest, and I said this many times, that there is a tough competition which is going between JP Morgan Chase and Credit Suisse. That who do maximum number of frauds, scandals, market rigging, corruption, and all these things with their as a bank. And unfortunately speaking, this is a tough question for me also. It is a tough question because I also cannot answer who is better in terms of fraud, scandals, manipulations, market rigging, corruption, and all, either JP Morgan or Credit Suisse. Previously, I used to make videos covering the financial scandals of these banks. But now, since I am a LLB student and probably, God willing, would soon initiating my law career also, I would be covering the legal part of it, which is called FEMA. FEMA stands for Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999. And also Foreign Exchange Management Adjudication Proceedings and Appeal 2000. Because Foreign Exchange Management Act FEMA is all about compliance, while adjudication and appeals is all about inquiry and penalties in case of contravention. You must be thinking that what I'm talking. I can understand that. So to substantiate, this is what I'm reading nowadays. This is FEMA, Overseas Investment Regulation. This is the License Office, Branch Office, and Project Office. This is FEMA, Business Establishment 2000. This is adjudication proceedings, appeal, and this is the main FEMA Act, which I am reading. All these documents I have taken print from the internet. These documents are not like you have to buy or you have to spare thousands of rupees to buy from any bookstore. They all are available on the internet. And as my research would progress, I would be printing more documents from the internet. Now I would be covering these banking institutions from the FEMA angle also. And guys, today I downloaded three judgments of honorable courts. Two judgments is by Honorable Supreme Court, and one judgment is by Honorable Delhi High Court. Now, the two judgments of Honorable Supreme Court, one judgment is of 2019. It's a very heavy judgment, 270 pages judgment. And this judgment is about the Supreme Court ruling covering Amrapali Group. Now, since it is a 270-pager document and I have taken a complete print of the same, it would be taking at least 2 months to me to cover everything, each and every word by word. On the contrary, I have taken another judgment from Honorable Delhi High Court, and this judgment is about the Amrapali Group. Now, this is that judgment of Honorable Delhi High Court. And I would like to express my thanks and gratitude to Delhi High Court for a number of reasons. You can see that I'm not reading this judgment. I'm reading this judgment in detail. You can see that I have maintained notes also in this judgment. Everywhere you can see that I am maintaining notes in this judgment. I am reading line by line, word by word of this judgment and try and linking with the acts of this judgment. As the time would progress, I would be making more videos on this judgment. In case I would like to request few questions from Honorable High Court, I would definitely be requesting Honorable High Court and so on and so forth. This judgment which I am reading, it's a writ petition civil which is filed with Delhi High Court, and the petitioner is JP Morgan Chase India Private Limited. And the respondent is investigating agency, Special Director, Directorate of Enforcement, and another. So, petitioner is JP Morgan Chase and respondent is Enforcement Directorate, shortly. This judgment is a really classic judgment if you read carefully. Honestly speaking, I read this judgment 3 times today only, 31st December 2022. I know with full respect, honor and gratitude, many of our friends are busy in partying and all these, but I read this judgment 3 times on 31st December 2022. And I feel that this is the most important Happy New Year gift I received today. Because the kind of knowledge, the kind of wordings, the selection of the wordings, some citations, unpleasant and pleasant remarks used by the honorable courts is really exemplary. And we need to appreciate this. But it's a highly unfortunate fact that, people don't spare much time, but I love judgments. I take a printout of the judgments and study line by line. If you read this judgment, in short, this judgment is the basic pillar of this judgment is Bikaram Chatterjee and others versus Union of India and others. Now, this is the main judgment. This judgment is of 270 pages, 270. And like I said, I already have taken a print of this, but need at least 2 months to cover this. This judgment is by Honorable Supreme Court as of 23rd July 2019. I repeat, 23rd July 2019. If we go to page number and if we go to page number 7 of this judgment, when Honorable Delhi High Court used the wordings of Supreme Court of India, the concluding remarks of the Supreme Court, which is mentioned in this judgment, is in view of the findings recorded by forensic auditors and fraud unearthed, indicating prima facie violation of FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act, and other fraudulent activities, money laundering, we means Supreme Court, we direct Enforcement Directorate and concerned authorities. Common sense, concerned authorities, Reserve Bank of India, Securities and Exchange Board of India, and respective other authorities, to investigate and fix liabilities on person responsible for such violation and submit the progress report in the court, and let the police also submit the report of the investigation made by them so far. So, Honorable High Court used the complete wordings used by the Supreme Court in their judgment, and alongside this is the concluding remarks by Supreme Court, which the Delhi High Court is using in their judgment. In this judgment, I would like to refer a very important thing, a name of JP Morgan Chase. Around 3 to 4 pages is used by Honorable Delhi High Court, whereby they took the reliance on this judgment, and again and again, JP Morgan Chase name coming up in this. Like, let me first read for you. After receiving money from Mannat Buildercraft Private Limited, the same was transferred to JP Morgan Investments for purchasing equity shares of Amrapali Sodic Private Limited at an exorbitant price. There was no transfer before or after these transfers of money in the aforesaid dummy companies. To suit the requirement of JP Morgan Investments, in entirely incorrect valuation report was prepared by Messrs. Sudhir K. Parikh and Company Chartered Accountant. The methodology and procedures defined for computation of fair market value were not followed at the time of exit. JP Morgan was having full control on Amrapali Zodic developers, and no action could have taken as per clause 10.4.3 without investors' approval. Again and again, the name of JP Morgan Chase is coming up in this picture. The 270-pager report, though I not studied much, the JP Morgan Chase name is coming again in this report as well, judgment as well, which is extremely detailed judgment. Now I would like to stop. And I would like to ask one question from Reserve Bank of India, specifically speaking. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Do not we know the background of JP Morgan Chase? Do not we know the scandals, the manipulation, the market rigging, the corruption, all these eventualities done by JP Morgan Chase? Do not we studied this holistic, complete judgment by Honorable Delhi High Court? Do not we studied the detailed 270-pager judgment by Honorable Supreme Court of India? Do not we aware that in August 2022, JP Morgan Chase was convicted by US court in gold manipulation scandal? Do not be aware that today, on 31st December 2022, JP Morgan Chase name again came in another scandal? Then what are we waiting for? Why are we not revoking the banking license of JP Morgan Chase? I was in EXL. EXL used to do heavy hedging with JP Morgan Chase. And I always objected that. Because even though I was working with EXL in corporate treasury as a corporate treasurer, I always reluctant to hedge with JP Morgan because of their background. From 2008, I am tracking many US banks the day I joined the corporate treasury. And guys, there is hardly any scandal in which JP Morgan Chase name not came in public. Then why RBI is reluctant not revoking the banking license of JP Morgan? Why are we reluctant? For what are we waiting? Why the license of JP Morgan not being revoked alongside the heavy penal penalties on JP Morgan Chase? We have IPC 406, IPC 407, 408, 409, which is about criminal breach of trust. I'm a law student. I knew that. 409 is generally on, the public employee, basically the government employees about the criminal breach of trust. But 406 is about criminal breach of trust. And we have various sections in Indian Penal Code, which is about fraudulent practices. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Tell me. If you read this judgment, you will get the opinion of Enforcement Directorate, which is nothing but an investigative agency in India. And if you study the remarks of Enforcement Directorate, it really hits you. Example, let me study the remarks of Enforcement Directorate at one places. It is important to clarify that complaint number 01/2020 is inter alia in relation to the rupees 85 crores invested by JP Morgan India Property Mauritius Company Second in Messrs. Amrapali Zodic Developer Private Limited, whereas complaint number 02/2020 is inter alia in relationship to investment of rupees 140 crores approximately by IPFII. It's a company which was incorporated in Singapore. I'll come to that point. In Amrapali Silicon Private Limited, the allegation against the petitioner are, however, common in both the complaints. Now, petitioner is who? JP Morgan Chase India Private Limited. They are the petitioner. And kindly read this judgment carefully. You will get to know more opinions about the Enforcement Directorate as far as the JP Morgan Chase is concerned. That's a very, very important point. I know that many people who are watching this video, their eyebrows would have raised. Why? Because previously Rahul Magan was talking from a banking angle. Today he is talking from a legal angle. He is talking about the law also. So he is linking the finance piece with the legal piece, and now he is joining both. Like this is FEMA. Okay, and in this FEMA, let me go to Section 3. Section 3 is all about dealing in basically acting as an authorized dealer. Let me study, you know, section 3 for you. Same as otherwise provided in this Act, rules or regulation made thereunder or with the journal or specific permission of Reserve Bank, no person shall this. This is all about the current account transaction, the capital account transaction, and each and everything as far as the authorized dealer is concerned. Let me study this here from here as well. Section 11 of the FEMA authorized Reserve Bank of India to give directions to authorized person to ensure compliance with provisions of FEMA. RBI issued directions to authorized person through APDIR. AP means authorized person directions. Many circulars have been issued RBI in this regards. Now, if I go here and if I go in detail, the biggest question here is that we have authorized dealer 1, authorized dealer 2, authorized dealer 3 in India. Now, the biggest point which I always would like to raise is that few foreign banks are acting as an authorized dealers in India. And we have these judgment copies with us. We knew the background of JP Morgan. We knew the scandals, the manipulations, and each and everything of JP Morgan. I would like to end my submissions here to Reserve Bank of India. And my submission is that why are we not revoking the license of JP Morgan Chase? What is stopping Reserve Bank not to make this happen? What is stopping Reserve Bank of India for not making this happen? This is my humble submission. At the end, I thank you very much to the honorable courts for making these wonderful judgments. But having said that, I have a deep interpretation issue as far as Singapore is concerned. If I move to this judgment, I got to know about one company which is IPFFI. I do not know the full name of that company. IPFFI Singapore Pte Limited. Okay, because in Singapore we call this PT Limited, which was incorporated on 20th May 2011. So if you are incorporating a Singapore company, which is PT Limited, it effectively means that it comes under ACRA, ACRA. Like you have Ministry of Corporate Affairs in India, in Singapore, we call this ACRA. All companies, whether small, big, medium, super big, they all come under ACRA. And the Central Bank of Singapore is known as Monetary Authority of Singapore, shortly known as MAS. It is headed by Ravi Menon. Ravi Menon. IPFFI Singapore Pte Limited, which was incorporated on 20th May 2011, entered into a share subscription agreement with ASCPL. Let me see the complete name of ASCPL. I mentioned it somewhere. ASCPL, Amrapali Silicon City Private Limited. This is the full name of ASCPL. So a share subscription agreement entered as of 23rd August 2012, and around 140 crores, oh my goodness, 140 crores paid to ASCPL. What is the full name? Amrapali Silicon City Private Limited, in a following manner. 85 crores received by Axis Bank, while 55 crore received in the escrow account of Bank of Baroda. My question is 140 crores. 140 crores is not a small amount. Where were ICRA when this 140 crores were transferred? Where were MAS, Monetary Authority of Singapore, when this 140 crore were transferred? Which Bank of Singapore took this transaction? UOB, OCBC, DBS, Bank of Singapore, or JP Morgan Singapore himself? I do not know that. I'm not giving my verdict. I do not know this because nothing is mentioned here. Who was the local director of Singapore company? Because Singapore company always have a local director. Unfortunately, I do not have these details in the judgment, but like I said, 270-page judgment of Honorable Supreme Court is right with me. And I already made it clear that I would be reading this line by line, and it would take me at least 2 months to study the holistic judgment. But as a bird eye view, as a plain reading, being a Singapore-based company, these things immediately strike my mind. Number one, the role of ACRA. Number two, the role of MAS, Monetary Authority of Singapore. Number three, which bank done this transfer? Number four, who is the local director of the company? Because local director of the company is recorded in ICRA. Local director of the company. I do not have answers to these questions as we speak, but I am reading this judgment in detail. Like I said, law is a very interesting topic. And I am from finance background. You know my background. And I am, with the blessings of Lord, is capable enough to link the finance with the law. You would be very surprised to know that I would have a detailed videos in that regards in the FEMA Adjudication 2000 rules is having a biggest interpretation issue as far as the legal framework is concerned, which I would be raising in a separate video. Anyways, at the end, I express my sincere thanks to Honorable Supreme Court of India for sharing huge, heavy 270-page judgment, detailed judgment, though for me it take at least 2 months to study. I thank you to the Honorable Judge of Delhi High Court for providing this wonderful judgment. I thank you, sir. I read this judgment very holistically. Each and every point of the judgment I studied. I have few interpretation issues which I would be raising before you in the form of request, and hopefully you would be considering that. Hopefully. But yes, one thing which is really very, very clear is that these kind of detailed judgments demand detailed analysis, and the investigating agencies and the regulators should be answerable. Should be answerable. In the sense like, if these detailed judgments are delivered by the honorable courts, we can easily guess the amount of pain, day and night effort being made by the court in having these detailed judgments. It's not at all easy. Not at all easy. Huge effort is being put up to have these kind of detailed judgment, word by word, line by line, sentence by sentence. It's not an easy job. Looks easy. It's a very, very Herculean, very, very difficult job to handle. Henceforth, at least we can you know have something, a reply from the regulator, and I'm sure that JP Morgan Chase would continue to perform in India even if they would be doing n number of scandals going forward. They are safe in India because I am watching them from 2008. Today is 2022, which is 14 years. So at least from the last 14 years, I personally watching JP Morgan. And I would continue to watch JP Morgan. This is Rahul Magan from Treasury Consulting Group. You knew my personal number, +91 9899 242 978. I repeat, +91 9899 242 978. In case you would like to have more information, you can visit our fixed income platform www.fixedincome.global. www.fixedincome.global. If anyone from JP Morgan feels offended, you knew my number. But before dialing my number, please note that I have the list of the scandals of JP Morgan of the last 10 years. Before dialing my number, take a note of that. And more importantly, note that I can even draw inferences. Example, I'm not going to be quoting my inference right now, but for you, page number and 10. Yeah, page number and 10 of the judgment by Honorable Delhi High Court. It is said that JP Morgan India Private Limited is in transactions with 18 subsidiary located outside India of JP Morgan Group. This is plain English. Plain English. And these allegations are made by the investigating agency as far as their opinion is concerned. FEMA contraventions. But I can even explain that. I can even explain that how this happens. My 10-year background is in banking. I understand each and every action in the bank. Each and every action in the bank. That how an Indian entity legally and other side interacts outside India in the banking desk. At the end, thank you to Honorable Supreme Court, thank you to Honorable Delhi High Court for the wonderful judgments. Thanks for enlightening us as always. This is Rahul Magan from Treasury Consulting Group. Have a great time ahead.